Most people think they know the story of this place. A tomb, a monument, a wonder of the world. But they are wrong. Hidden for centuries, deep within the Jordanian desert, lies a city carved entirely into rose-red stone. A place that defied history, defied nature, and defied the world. But what if I told you that the famous facade is only the beginning? There are chambers here that remain sealed, and secrets that are still kept from the public eye. Today, you are getting exclusive access. This is off-limits travel. Let's uncover the truth. Before we look at the stones, we have to look at the people. The Nabateans. These weren't just simple nomads. They were the masters of the desert. They became incredibly wealthy, not by conquering, but by controlling. They built a literal oasis in the middle of a barren canyon, using hydraulic engineering so advanced that even modern scientists are baffled. Think about this. In a place where rain is a rarity, they built a complex network of terracotta pipes and dams that channeled water for miles. But here is the curiosity. How did they keep it secret? For centuries, they hid their trade routes and their water sources from the massive empires of Rome and Egypt. They were the original off-limits travelers. But let's go deeper into how they did it. Imagine living in a desert where water is more valuable than gold. The Nabateans didn't just find water, they harvested it. They carved massive cisterns deep into the sandstone structures so precise that they could collect every single drop of seasonal rain, storing it for months of drought. And it wasn't just water. They built an empire on trade. They were the middlemen between the spice markets of Arabia and the empires of Greece and Rome. They became so wealthy that they transformed a simple caravan stop into a rock-cut metropolis. But here's the most intriguing part. They were masters of deception. For generations, they protected their trade routes with such ferocity and secrecy that their capital remained invisible to the outside world. They essentially built a ghost city that the greatest armies of antiquity couldn't find, even when they were standing right in front of it. Walking through the narrow, mile-long gorge leading into the city is a psychological experience. The walls rise to 80 meters, blocking out the sky. It feels like you're traveling through time. But once you reach the famous Treasury, most tourists turn around. That's their mistake. Beyond this point, the city stretches for kilometers. There's a massive Roman-style theater carved directly into the rock face. There are royal tombs that once held the gold of kings, now empty. And if you go further, deep into the high places, you find the sacrificial altars, places where the Nabateans performed rituals that are still shrouded in mystery today. Most tourists walk the see the treasury, take a photo, and leave. But today, we go further. Walking through this mile-long gorge is a psychological experience. The walls rise 80 meters high, completely blocking out the sun. It's silent, it's cold, and it feels like the rock is closing in on you. But look closely at the walls. Those aren't just natural cracks. You can still see the remains of the ancient terracotta pipes, the silent engineers of an empire that thrived on nothing but ingenuity. But here's the kicker. The sick wasn't just a path, it was a death trap. To protect themselves from floods, the Nabateans carved a massive tunnel over the sick to divert water away from the entrance. Even today, if you look at the right spots, you can see the original 2,000-year-old safety bypass. They weren't just protecting their city from enemies, they were fighting the desert itself to survive. Most people stop at the treasury. They think that's all there is. But if you look behind these walls, you'll find a sprawling metropolis. We're talking about thousands of tombs, an entire Roman-style theater carved directly into the rock, and hidden stairways that lead to nowhere. This is where the real history is, and it's completely unmapped. I'm taking you off the paved path, into the side caves that most tourists don't even know exist. This isn't just sightseeing anymore. This is true exploration. But beyond the stone, there's a human story here. Petra wasn't just a tomb. It was a bustling metropolis. At its peak, nearly 30,000 people lived here. Imagine the streets filled with traders bringing frankincense and spices from as far as India and Africa. They weren't just survivors. They were the masters of global trade. Their clothes, their food, even their language, it all blended into a unique culture that thrived right here in the middle of a harsh desert. But how did they actually thrive here? Forget what you think about desert survival. The Nabateans didn't just find water, they mastered it. They built a sophisticated network of terracotta pipes, dams, and cisterns that could catch every single drop of rain. Some of these channels were carved with such precise angles that the water pressure was controlled over miles of harsh terrain. It was an engineering marvel that made Petra a lush, green oasis in the middle of nowhere. Imagine being a Roman soldier and arriving here not to a dry, barren wasteland, but to a city flowing with fountains and private gardens. It was their greatest secret weapon. But wait, the water was just the beginning. Why build such a massive city in the middle of a desert? The answer is trade. Petra sat at the crossroads of the ancient world. They didn't just survive. They controlled the flow of frankincense, myrrh, and spices traveling from the depths of Arabia to the Roman Empire. These weren't just goods, they were the gold of the ancient world. The Nabateans acted as the gatekeepers, charging massive taxes on every caravan that passed through. This wealth is exactly what allowed them to carve their legacy into the mountainside. They were effectively the bankers of the desert, and they guarded their trade routes with a ferocity that made even the great Roman legions hesitate to attack. But this wealth wasn't just stored in gold, it was built into the mountains. Today, ground-penetrating radar is revealing something incredible. Entire chambers, tomb complexes, and hidden hallways, still completely sealed off, buried under meters of solid rock. For centuries, these areas have remained untouched, protected by the very landscape that the Nabateans called home. Are these royal vaults, forgotten religious sites, or perhaps something more, secrets that they never wanted the outside world to find? Even with all our modern technology, a huge part of Petra remains a no-go zone, physically and historically off-limits. We've only scratched the surface of what this civilization left behind. It's easy to look at the treasury and think, the Romans did this. But the truth is much more impressive. The Nabateans didn't just carve, they engineered. Look at the precision of the columns, the way they aligned the entire city with the sun, the stars, and the solstices. They were masters of celestial geometry. They took a chaotic, jagged mountain range and turned it into a perfectly balanced sanctuary. Every crack you see wasn't just decorative. It served a purpose, whether to channel cooling air through the rooms, or to protect the city from the fierce desert winds. They didn't just inhabit Petra, they molded the mountain to their will. When you walk through these ruins, you aren't just looking at stone. You're walking through the echoes of a people who defied the odds. They built a legacy that the desert couldn't erase, and that time couldn't fully bury. Today, those who live near Petra, the Bedouin tribes, still carry the spirit of that resilience, protecting these paths just as their ancestors did. It makes you realize that Petra isn't a dead city. It's a sleeping giant. Every year, shifting sands reveal new inscriptions, new secrets, and new reasons why this place remains the most mysterious off-limits wonder on Earth. We've seen the treasures, we've walked the sick, and we've touched the engineering. But the real Petra, that's still a mystery waiting for the next explorer. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the unknown. We've uncovered the secrets of the desert, but the world is full of hidden places waiting to be explored. If you're ready for the next adventure, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Let me know in the comments, which part of Petra surprised you the most? I read all of your comments. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.